And tonight we're having a very special guest, Jacob Carter, the author of Riptide, a book about the Alabama Crimson Dynasty. Good evening. How are you tonight, Jake?
Doing well. How you doing, Rich?
Doing fantastic. So we're talking tonight about your new book, Riptide, about the Alabama Crimson Dynasty. Tell me, Jacob Carter, why did you want to write this book?
Well, I mean, I've been a lifelong football fan, and I grew up in Alabama, and I've been a lifelong Alabama fan too. And around the last 10 years, Alabama's been the football program's been such a joy in my own personal life, and they've been so successful, and they've won 4 national championships, and they've just set an unprecedented amount of records. And so I wanted to try to capture that for the fans and try to capture it as kind of sports history. But the other reason why I wrote it is because I felt like not a lot of people were capturing it for it to be so special. And I was watching ESPN's documentary show, 30 for 30, one night, and they did a show about another football program. And I just felt like Alabama deserved the players who have played the last 10 years deserve to have a voice, and we and the fans deserve to hear why they've been so successful. So the program personally meant a lot to me, and it felt like a good project that I would want to do because I had the passion for it, and I felt like it was a win-win for everybody, and I wanted the university to be represented in the right way.
So you felt that it needed to be documented, and I feel like you've done a very thorough job of documenting it. What is it that you think, Jake, makes the Alabama football program so special?
I think what makes it special is, what first makes Alabama's program so special is their tradition and their history. It's pretty much unmatched in college football because far before Nick Saban and this run, Nick Saban got there and this run started, Alabama is known as one of the greatest powerhouses ever, one of the greatest dynasties ever, and they had Paul Bear Bryant, their original coach, who had won six national championships, and other coaches who have won national championships. And the tradition and the history just makes it special when they go out on the field. They still wear the same jerseys pretty much. They have for a long, long time. Very old school, very traditional. And the program's always bigger than the players, so that's what makes it special. The second thing that makes it special to me is the modern day run is special in of itself, and it really is a special thing to be able to succeed at something at such a high level and be so consistent for so long, because like Coach Saban says, it's against our human nature to do something like that, to press forward, to not get complacent once we have success. So it makes it special because you're able to take in 19 and 20-year-old young men, and you're able to instill principles in them that they wouldn't have learned elsewhere, and those principles bleed out over onto the field, because a lot of people think Alabama's just a good team because they can play football. They're a great team because of their mindset and how strong that mindset is. So it's a lot of the things that go on behind the scenes. That's what I learned doing the book that make the program special.
And there's a history and tradition there of intense dedication toward this. What makes Nick Saban so great of a coach, Nick?
Nick Saban, it's funny because before I did this book, I only knew about Nick Saban from ESPN or like any fan, what I saw, but I haven't met him personally. But doing the book and talking to his players, what makes him so special is he's an unbelievably driven person. You see him on TV, he's very passionate. A lot of people, the players would tell me, know him for his explosive, anger when something doesn't go right. But they say behind the scenes, what makes him special is he is one of the best people in the world at putting people in a position to succeed and win. And he really cares about the young men he recruits. And he really gives a lot of his personal time. And it's not about him, and a lot of people think it is. They think he's this power-hungry person who just wants to win championships. But they say what really drives him out of the bed every morning is that he really wants to help people succeed at their highest level. Of course, there is a side in him that wants to be the best, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he really does make it about the kids, and he sets the attitude every day for everyone there. It also makes it special because Alabama's a hard place to coach at. The demands are very high. I think before Nick Saban got there, Alabama had gone through maybe 3 or 4 coaches in a matter of 10 years. And when Coach Saban got there, he really was able to take that responsibility on and embrace it and create his own legacy outside of Coach Bryant. And it takes a special person to do that. So if I had to sum it up, I think what makes Nick Saban special is his selflessness in an age that people are selfish. And it makes him special because he doesn't focus on the results of things, like he doesn't teach his players to look at the scoreboard and things like that. He focuses on doing everything 100% and for integrity's sake. And so that's how they win so many games, is because his mentality and his belief that if you do things the right way and don't worry about the results, you will succeed. That bleeds over to all of his guys he teaches, and they go on in the life, and they really become great guys. And a lot of the guys I interviewed, all of them I interviewed really, are great people, and that's the most important thing.
Jacob, during the course of writing this book, did you get an opportunity to interview Nick Saban?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
During the course of writing this book, Jake, did you also get an opportunity to interview Nick Saban?
Oh, no. No, I didn't. I tried to reach out to the university to talk to them. You know, even their phones are cut off here in a certain amount of time during the year. So, no, I wasn't able to reach out.
I see. And you got there, what, in about 2007, correct?
Yeah, you're right. I was there for 2007.
Can you describe the process that you talk about in your book? Just kind of describe the program for us.
Yeah, the process is, I think it's well known among college football fans and Alabama fans by now, but I definitely got a deeper view from it from the guys who personally have applied it in their lives. So the process is, what they mean by process is, there's a process and a way of doing things correctly. And so every position on the field, every person has their own job to do. And let's say a defensive tackle, he has a job to do, and a linebacker has a job to do. And their process is they don't focus on the opponents and what they're doing. They don't focus on the scoreboard. They don't focus on the end result. They focus on the process of being a champion in everything they do. So in their attitudes, during their workouts during the summer, how much they study, how they perform in the classroom, how they treat people outside of the program, all of these things are a part of the process. So the process is to make you a champion in your character before you ever become one on the football field. So if I had to sum it up, to me, a lot of the players described it as doing your job and doing it correctly and doing it the way you've been taught to do it, the best way possible, and doing it with 100% effort. And you don't worry about the outside circumstances, the outside results. As long as you do your job and you apply these principles and you work at the little itty-bitty things you do every day, do them 100%, then you'll be successful. And that's what the process is. And I don't think it's really new. Coach Wooden really had those principles at UCLA, but I think Nick Saban has taken it to another level for sure in what he does.
Well, in effect, it's a process of character building. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, and that's a real important point because, our culture now, the way it's headed is character's kind of a cheap word. To develop character's a cheap word because a lot of people claim they have character, but when it comes down to it, character is tested when you can cheat, when your boss isn't there, when people aren't there. He teaches them to have these principles inside them no matter who's there and no matter what they're doing and no matter what opponent they're playing or what test they're taking. He wants them to be who they say they're going to be, and he wants them to do it 100%. So the reason why Alabama's so successful is because of the players behind it driving the scene, and that's kind of the whole thesis of the book That's why it's called the riptide, because in the ocean you have a riptide, and it's a hidden current underneath the mass ocean, but it'll sweep people away really fast. It's very powerful, but it's not seen. The players I interviewed weren't the superstars of the team. They were the grind workers, but they were the ones behind the scenes who were working this process, who developed the character and never quit. And because of that, they were able to push the whole Crimson Tide program to the highest level of success. So the process applies to everybody, from the janitor to Coach Saban, from the kicker on the team all the way to the quarterback, the second and third string. Everyone's included in it. Everyone's expected to give 100%. And like you said, character development. Everyone on the team has to have 100% good character and buy in completely to the process, because otherwise you won't be welcome back on the team, or you won't be successful there. So you hit it on the head. I couldn't stress enough, and I really was super impressed, just as an author, at how much integrity all of the guys I talked to had. I mean, it was just amazing.
Oh, that is fantastic. And a great number of them, of course, have gone on to the NFL, as you know, and you can easily name off a list of those guys as well.
Yeah, Alabama's had unprecedented success in so many areas. And, and especially if you look through the NFL, you see them everywhere. You see these guys everywhere. And something the NFL play, says is they love, like the New England Patriots, they love drafting Alabama's players because they're pro-ready. They're already taught. They're already grown men by the time they leave Coach Saban's system. So he doesn't just prepare them to win championships at Alabama. He prepares them for their future, whether that's in the NFL or whatever job they're going to have integrity and to represent the program no matter where you go. So like I kind of said earlier, it's bigger than any individual person. The Alabama's and Coach Saban's program is even bigger than him, and he even tells his players that. And so it's been amazing, and it is amazing, and it's great to see those guys really do well after all the work they put in and all the sacrifice they made.
And with the great history and tradition there, I think there's a big future ahead too. I think this is going to go on for quite some time.
Yeah, they don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. I mean, when Coach Saban came in 2007, some of the players I talked to in my book described that transition between Coach Mike Shula, who was there before Coach Saban, and Alabama was, kind of mediocre, kind of stuck in the middle, and they didn't want to be there anymore, and so they looked for a big-time coach. And when they brought in Coach Saban, that transition happened, and when it happened, it just, the mindset, you could almost see it change overnight. And then once 2008 rolled around, it was pretty much over there. And Alabama's won, I think, around 85% of their games, throughout the last 5 years. So that's just a whopping number. It's unbelievable to think about. But it doesn't seem like it's slowing down. And the reason why I say that is I learned in my book, a lot of people question Alabama and when the dynasty's going to die. And every time they lose a game, the media rises up and, they condemn everybody and condemn Coach Saban. They talk about, how it's over. I know Alabama's dynasty won't die as long as Coach Saban's there, because I know what he puts inside those players. And as long as he's there and there are players buying into his process and his system, Alabama will compete for a championship every single year just due to their principles alone. You can even take football talent out of it, even though talent's important. I just know their mentality. I know these guys' mentality and their hunger, and there's no one in the country like that.
Total perseverance and no giving up. Jacob, What were some of the favorite things in your interviews with the players that they told you while you were interviewing them for the book?
Oh, man. Yeah, well, first off, I've been able to make some friendships with them instead of just, interviewing them. Some of them are just great guys, like I said. Well, all of them are, but some of them I've gotten to know a little bit more. And some of my favorite moments are just, me as a fan, being an author is my profession, but me as a fan too, I get a lot of joy out of getting to hear these guys' experiences, me watching these games on TV and going to these games live throughout the years, and then you finally get to hear what went on behind the scenes. And it brought a lot more gratitude to me, just for them giving that little bit of joy to me on Saturdays and all the work they put in. Made me happy for them. But some of the favorite things I heard was just how Coach Saban really is behind the scenes, who he really is, and some of those personal moments that he's interacted with the players, and he's helped them pass classes, and he's helped them get jobs in the future, and how he's been there for them and the things he taught them, and really who he is better changed my perspective on who he is and made him more human to me. And some of the favorite moments, too, from the players, honestly, was just hearing like how it changed them as a person going through that system, and hearing from them, like, just all of them, when you talk to them, it's almost like they read from a script, because all of them have this so deeply ingrained in them that you're hearing, like, Coach Saban's system and his principles and his words come out of them. And even today at work, some of them have been away from Alabama almost 10 years since Coach Saban's first championship in 2009. You can hear that grit and that determination, and that system is still inside them. And I think that was some of the favorite things I heard. I don't want to give away too much, because obviously, as an author, I want people to buy the book.
Right, absolutely. And that book is called Riptide by Jake Carter. It's available where? Amazon and where else?
Yeah, it'll be available on Amazon. It's coming out August 23, and
okay.
we're gonna do some pre-order stuff too, and I'll have that up this upcoming week. And it'll be on Amazon, and then we're gonna talk to some people at Alabama and contact the library at the University of Alabama and see where else we want to put it. We're just not finalized on that yet.
Jacob, we have a caller on the line from Central Illinois. Good evening, Central Illinois.
Hi, Rich.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm fine. I just tuned in, and I know you guys are talking about football, and I know absolutely nothing about football.
One thing
but
that's
I am from Illinois. I am from Alabama.
Aha. Well, great. That's fantastic. Well, listen in, and if you decide to make a comment or ask a question, Jake or I will be more than happy to answer your question.
All right, I'm just listening.
Jacob, how has Alabama been able to remain so consistent? What's some of the secrets to this incredible history and tradition?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and I want to say hey to the caller too.
Sure.
But how they've been able to stay so consistent. I mean, that's kind of the definition of a dynasty. Being able to succeed at your craft for a long, sustained period of time. That's what makes dynasties are special. They're not a dime in a dozen. They don't come around all the time. Sometimes they only come around once in someone's lifetime. So Alabama's been fortunate to actually have two dynasties within their program, with Bear Bryant, where he won 6 championships, and now you have Nick Saban, who's won 4 at Alabama and 1 more at LSU. The reason why they've been able to stay so consistent is because they don't focus on winning. They focus on developing young men to be the best they can be, and they do. They focus a lot on football, so they have.
And tonight we're having a very special guest, Jacob Carter, the author of Riptide, a book about the Alabama Crimson Dynasty. Good evening. How are you tonight, Jake?
Doing well. How you doing, Rich?
Doing fantastic. So we're talking tonight about your new book, Riptide, about the Alabama Crimson Dynasty. Tell me, Jacob Carter, why did you want to write this book?
Well, I mean, I've been a lifelong football fan, and I grew up in Alabama, and I've been a lifelong Alabama fan too. And throughout the last 10 years, Alabama's been the football program's been such a joy in my own personal life, and they've been so successful, and they've won 4 national championships, and they've just set an unprecedented amount of records. And so I wanted to try to capture that for the fans and try to capture it